I'm gonna chop them into videos too. All right, next one we're gonna go with before turning. I think I've seen this one.
All right, the next one is called The Fourth Turning. This is a video. Shout out to Van Neistat. He's the creator of this video.
R.I.P.
He
Sneeko.
read a book, and what he did, he's a summary.
Man got banned off basically
And
everywhere,
what is gonna be happening.
except for
At the end of the
Instagram
video,
right now,
We're gonna watch it because it's extremely important. If you made it to this point in the chat,
and obviously Rumble.
I
But
want you to take a breather. I want you to take a breather. I'm not in it for the fucking views. I'm not in it for retention. I'm in here to speak to the people that are awake. Let's get started with this video. Sneako's hasn't seen this video either, so he's gonna be quite shocked. But let me tell you something about history. Just like the seasons, winter, fall, summer, autumn, history repeats itself, and it repeats itself in cycles over and over and over again. And right now, we're entering into a cycle, into the end of a cycle. It's called the fourth turning. Tony Robbins talks about it. Ray Dalio, billionaires, they talk about it publicly. Okay, and Ray Dalio has a book. It states it's called Principles on How to Navigate the New World Order. I think that's what it's called, right? And he talks about the cycle of the S curve, and the S curve is basically a curve of where the United States is in its progress. Right now, it's on decline mode. Tony Robbins talks about this as well. So I want to play this video.
A lot of my viewers are coming in right now. Someone says, Stego, you know this nigga lame, stop playing. Yo, can you flash your watch to the camera real quick?
I mean, this is just
like he's not a flexy type dude, but let me flex for him because I want this watch too.
Bullshit,
I want that watch. Yo, look at that watch, pussy. Don't you want that? Bullshit. You should listen to somebody who got a watch like that because I know damn well you don't got it.
Here's the thing. I don't know who said that, but bro, if I'm lame, imagine what you are. And I know I'm lame. Okay, I'll recognize I'm lame. Like, I'm not amazing. But every day I have 20 grand on me. I drip 20 grand. It's not a lot. You know, some people drip $1 million. That's fine. But I'm in my mid-20s, and I figured out something. How to make tens of millions of dollars. How to do whatever the fuck I want. I've been to 40 countries. I've been around the world. I speak 3 languages. I'm working on my 4th one.
Shoo, that's crazy.
If I'm a loser and I'm lame, imagine you.
Imagine that, guys. Come on. That's why we need to get to work. That's what we doing.
I don't know. Maybe you're amazing. But it ain't me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
A book about how and when history repeats itself. And this is what the book said. History repeats itself in 80-year blocks called saeculum, but we'll just call them history blocks. Not exactly 80 years. This is history, not math, but roughly the span of a human lifetime, maybe 80 to 90 years. Within these 80-year history blocks, we have 4 turnings of around 20 years each. We usually call them
kind of like
generations.
In the way I am.
This book calls them.
Hold up, let me move myself real quick. Put myself over the chat.
Turnings. Turnings are sort of like seasons, like spring, summer, fall, winter. Throughout our history, we've had these 80-year blocks, and the 80-year blocks have been remarkably similar to each other. We're in one now. The first turning, the first season, is a high, an upbeat era. The second turning is an awakening, a passionate era. The third turning is an unraveling, a downcast era. And the fourth turning, well, sorry, but fourth turnings suck. Fourth turning is a crisis, an era of upheaval. We're in a fourth turning right now. So let's take a look at our saeculum, our history block. The history block that we're in the crisis of right now. Our high began after our World War II victory. By our, we mean America's. These are America's history blocks and turnings. During a high, the getting is good. We had the most even distribution of wealth during our high. You could work at a gas station.
It's very important, guys, that you start to study history, or that you do study history. Because like I said, history repeats itself. And when you look backwards and you see what's been done, you can understand better what is occurring and what will come. It's just like exactly what they're showing here. So let's continue to study together and see what they have to say.
And afford to buy a house. This high is the period that the MAGA hats refer.
You used to be able to buy a house for $7,500.
Jesus, dude.
Factory job and buy a house, sustain your family. Your wife would stay at home, raise your children. In a scenario where, you know what the government did? They're like, maybe we make things a little bit more expensive so that the wife can stay stay also at a job, and guess what? Guess who's going to raise the children? The system. Because if you control the future, you control the nation.
So this one
Too.
was when
We got
America was
Hank
great.
Williams
This was
and
post-World War
Elvis
II.
and Little Richard.
Does it
the
mean that
birth of rock
backwards?
and
If you
roll.
control the
We
nation, you
launched
control the
monkeys
future.
and men into space. This is when the Mustangs and Corvettes first came out. Our high ended with the assassination of John F. Kennedy on November
You don't
22nd,
even wanna get into that one.
1963.
The high is not a high for everyone, of course. America still had a segregated South. Homosexuality was illegal and considered a mental disorder.
Yeah, I would say it was just a high. I think America was only great if you were a white guy. Like it was not. I could not have all the benefits of.
Sure, absolutely. But here's the thing. We need to take the principle, because it's not just at a U.S. level, it's at a global scale. Somebody said, how do we know you're telling the truth? You don't. That's why it's up to you to make your own conclusions.
100%, guys. We do not have the answers. Nobody does. Think for yourself. Use the power of your mind to discern truth.
Your own research and figure it out.
So you can believe monkeypox. You can go stay inside and quarantine again, or you can listen up. Like pick one. Who do you think is right?
The high is a period of conformity. The age of nonconformity and of social justice begins during the Awakening, our passionate era.
During the Awakening, we had Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement, acid, Vietnam protests and Vietnam itself, the Women's Liberation Movement,
Stonewall and the gay rights movement.
great movies, great music. This is when the first Macintosh computer came out. The Awakening is a time of increasing individualism. This second turning, this awakening, ended with the re-election of Ronald Reagan in 1984. Things get messy during the third turning, during the unraveling. We got the fall of Soviet communism and the beginning of the Russian gangster state. The greatest musicians of the time sang about violence and decay in their deteriorating cities. The LA riots, OJ, the bombing of Bosnia, and the Columbine high school shootings on the same day. September
Jesus.
11th, the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Our unraveling ended with the financial crisis of 2008. A fascinating fact about this book is that it was written during the last third turning, published in 1997. But the book predicts now, what's happening now in this fourth turning.
20.
And what's happening?
So what? We are 6 years away from a high. Wow, guys. So it's exactly like Robert was saying, you know, in the last video we watched. Shit's going to get bad. And if you're not paying attention, you will not be prepared. Just to keep that in mind, guys. You can take advantage. During the last depression, the Great Depression, not everybody was poor. Of course, a lot of people were. But a lot of people also got very, very rich. Use the power of your mind to create the reality that you desire. If you want to learn more about how to do that, go ahead and follow us here.
Happening now is right on schedule. 80 years ago, in the last fourth turning, America had her Great Depression, then World War II. 80 years before that, the Civil War. 80 years before that, the Revolutionary War. Now it's our turn to save the country. So where do you fit into all this? What's your role? It depends when you were born. Each generation, each cohort, tends to embody a specific archetype. An archetype that will move the society towards the next high. Each generation's archetype is the characteristic that will define the generation in its prime, in midlife. The boomer archetype is the prophet. Bill Gates and Steve Jobs are boomers and prophets. Both predicted that one day everyone, not just big corporations and governments, would own a computer. Gates even predicted a crisis like COVID-19 5 years beforehand.
Because he runs the shit.
The writers
Because he runs the shit.
of this book are boomers and prophets.
Gen X is the nomad generation. The quintessential Gen Xer, Elon Musk, builds things that move us from one place to another. Rockets, electric cars, hyperloops, nomadic devices. But the millennials, raised during the unraveling, will emerge as the hero generation during this crisis. These are the Parkland High students, the frontline hospital workers, and Malala Yousafzai,
The book says millennials will be the World War II heroes of our history block.
We don't know what Gen Z will do, but they will
Tell
be
you
an
what Gen
artist
Z will do.
generation.
Wait.
The book
Okay.
says millennials
Through
will be
2008.
the World War II heroes of our
So then what?
history block.
Technically, I'm a
We
millennial
don't know
because
what
that's when I
Gen
was
Z will
born.
do, but they will
Tell
be
you
an
what Gen
artist
Z will do.
generation. From them will emerge the next Bill Withers, Toni Morrison, or Bob Dylan, all born during the last crisis, all from an artist generation.
I want to be that.
The history block before ours ended with World War II and began with the Civil War, 80 years prior. The history block before that ended with the Civil War
You'll never
and
see this in
began
school, by the way,
with the
guys. They
end
won't
of the
educate you for real. I'm
Revolutionary
here to
War,
fucking educate your
80
minds,
years
not just
prior.
yell at you
Every
some
80
fucking
years or
substance.
so, something
Exactly,
big comes
guys.
along and changes everything.
Trying to help
And now,
provide as much
we're at
value
the
as
end
possible.
of our history.
Get you the information you need.
Right in the middle of our crisis. We are in the process of changing our world again. The authors of The Fourth Turning tell us that these crises are like forest fires. Unpleasant, but necessary. They clear the woods for new growth. As we work towards our next high, this crisis will tilt the playing field away from the old and towards the young, they tell us. But the victory is not guaranteed. We will, each of us, need to rise to the occasion during this crisis. We will need to develop and fortify our...
Just like Robert Kiyosaki said back in the last video, guys. It's not a coincidence that all this information is connected. We need leaders now. For your life and for your future generations. You must lead. That's what Lyfe Spectrum is trying to be here. A pillar, a part of the community. We want you to become a part of our community so we can help lift you up, empower you, galvanize you into leading the life that you desire, a fulfilling one.
our virtues as we pursue a greener pasture.
The point is here, guys, it's very simple. We are in the fourth turning. You're going to decide whether you're going to be the hero of the story, whether you're going to be allowed to be played by history, or whether you're going to be an absolute noob. And that's up to you.
A lot of noobs in the chat, but
And it's fine. And
most people will be
and it's
noobs.
fine. People are beginners, right? And that's the name of the game, right? There's a lot of kids, there's a lot of people where you're still learning into these things, right? You're still growing. Let me explain something to you guys. You're either going to be an actor in the stage of history, or you're going to be a viewer. You're gonna
Which
take
do you
life
wanna be?
by the balls, and you're going to live a life of purpose, or you won't. And that's completely up to you. My goal every time we stream is that you leave better than you came.
I would agree. I'm just going to end it there. But it's the same thing, guys. I want you to come here and hopefully get information that you may not have gotten to. Maybe it's because that's not what you had been looking into, so your feed's not really up with that. But this is the information you need to hear. Take it from someone who's already successful. Luke Belmar. Don't just take it from me, right? Take it from Robert Kiyosaki. Take it from Patrick Bet-David. I'm just helping spread their messages because I believe them to be truth. But I'm learning here with you as well. It's a learning process. Life is. Let's continue to the next video.